What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Andy Ruiz Sr. Get this. Andy Ruiz has blasted Deontay Wilder and the deal. He calls Deontay Wilder a liar, a fool, stupid. He calls for that simply because he states that Deontay Wilder wants a 70-30 split. And he says that Wilder has to be out of his mind if he thinks that he's going to get that type of money because he's no longer a champion. He's not that marquee value. He just came off a bad fight against Robert Heleni as his sparring partner. And meanwhile, Andy Ruiz, which is a former unified champion, the first of Mexican descent, came off a tough fight with Luis King Kong Ortiz. And what else did he say? He also said that he believes Helenius took a dive in that fight. And before that, he was beat by Tyson Fury back to back. So why in Hades would he want a 70-30 split? We want a 50-50 split. I'm not going to persuade my son to take that little amount of money from Deontay Wilder because, again, he is no longer a champion. He is not anywhere above my son. He said he's just mad because Andy Ruiz has that same type of money as millions of dollars that he's invested in when he made his money. That made him smart. And who else is Wilder going to fight? He said Joshua, Frank Sanchez, Tyson Fury. I think not. We don't have a deadline, said Andy Ruiz Sr. So Deontay Wilder better wisen up. Then let me counterpunch. There was some points in that. None of those guys are champions, okay? Andy, I think he could be, or he could have been in a better position had he fought the right type of people when that was available for him, okay? See, Andy Ruiz's stock dropped as soon as he came in at damn near 300 pounds against Anthony Joshua and lost damn near every round against Anthony Joshua in Saudi Arabia, okay? And it showed that when he did get a little money, when he did get a chunk of change, he wasn't ready the same. He wasn't the same fighter no more. So saying that to say this, Andy Ruiz then turned around, lied about the fight up against Dillian White, ducked Luis Ortiz in 2020, you know, and didn't do anything until another year and 5 months later. Okay, and that's the reason for his stock to drop. Then when he did fight Chris Arreola, he was dropped against Chris Arreola. And he then fought, who else did he fight at that time? I'm not really even sure that he fought anybody else. He didn't fight anybody else until Luis Ortiz, and that was later last year, the last quarter of last year. So, and he went 12 rounds with him. He dropped him a few times, but he couldn't finish King Kong. And, you know, Wilder, you know, that loss Wilder took, honestly, really hyped his profile because he was in one of the best fights, heavyweight fights that we've seen in a long time, when he got a couple knockdowns as opposed to Tyson Fury got 3 knockdowns and a knockout. So it was a spectacular fight, you know, and people wanted to see Wilder in because he proved his heart. He proved that he wanted to win. Wilder, I think, carries more weight than Andy Ruiz, but the question is how much. You know, his father is always going to look, because he's biased, because he's just, you know, that's his father, you know, that's his son you're talking about. So he's always going to think that Andy's worth 50-50, you know. And the 30-70, you know, Malik Scott didn't comment on it, but he didn't deny it either. You know, so the 70-30 split is something to really think about, you know. But calling Deontay Wilder a liar, I don't see where he lied about. I don't see what he lied about in this situation. You know, if he offered Andy a certain amount of money, Andy could yay it or nay it. That's what I say, you know. But the only thing I give Andy Ruiz Sr. is that, yeah, they're both former champions. You know what I mean? But you have to, but besides being former champions, you know, Andy Ruiz only had the belt for 6 months. If you call that 6 months, maybe 5, right? He had it for 5 months. So you compare that from a guy that had the belt from an upset from one of the biggest fighters in the sport to holding it for 5 months, comparing it to someone that had it for 5 years, which is Deontay Wilder for the WBC. Even though, you know, a lot of people question his opposition, nonetheless, you can't compare 5 years to 5 months. That's like comparing a watermelon to a grape, people. So I'm sorry. You know, Andy Ruiz Sr., I know he thinks highly of his son, and he should, but his son hasn't really done enough to raise eyebrows these days. He just hasn't. You know, Ortiz, that fight was prolonged 2 or 3 separate times. You know, so, you know, Ortiz was getting older and older. He didn't fight the same Ortiz as Deontay Wilder back in 18 or 19 at all. He didn't even want, and then he ducked him the year after. So, no, I don't really agree with that. I think 50-50 is too much. Maybe 40-60. You know what I mean? 35-65. But no, 50-50, no. I wouldn't want that for Andy either, because Andy hasn't done enough for me to really convince me that he's worth that amount of money. But then again, I'm all about, hey, how about a guarantee? Give this man a guarantee, because you damn sure took that same amount of money with Anthony Joshua. Okay? I heard in the comments people saying, well, it's AJ's fault because he offered Wilder a flat rate. Well, okay. Well, if that's the case, he took a flat rate against Joshua. Ruiz did. So what's the point? Let him take a flat rate against Deontay Wilder to show how good he really is, you know, and he can make history again. That's what I say. But calling him a liar, I don't know. I think he's really insulted that Deontay Wilder has offered him that amount, because he, you know, of course they feel like they're more. But that's what you're dealing with when you're dealing with ego, people. When you're dealing with ego. So when you're dealing with ego, that's what you get. That's all you're going to get. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think of Andy Ruiz Sr. calling Deontay Wilder a liar, saying that he's way more than 30%. They want 50-50. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace!